The next thing I want to hit on today, I call it the hidden hand, and this is actually a broader thing that it relates to where we are in impeachment. And as I walked in the studio today, I walked in this, where I'm sitting today, I walked through the main area, and they have big television screens on with different stations, and they're showing the hearings, and the House Judiciary Committee today is debating the articles of impeachment. This is just the committee, the House Judiciary Committee. And they're apparently going to vote today on the 2 articles of impeachment that they came up with after, just, as you know, torturous years of talking about impeachment, months of bringing on witness after witness. But I want to really tell you some very, very important points about where we are on this. So this is just the Judiciary Committee. It is expected to pass these articles of impeachment along party lines and then go to the floor of the House next week. Number 1, there is talk now that somewhere between 21 and 34 and maybe more Democrat members of the U.S. House are now saying they cannot vote for impeachment. Now, Nancy Pelosi would like nothing more than to have a lockstep, Democrats voting for impeachment and Republicans obviously voting against. Now, she's known all along that some Democrats have a really hard time voting for impeachment because they live in areas where they have informed citizens who can see there's no basis to impeach this president, areas where President Trump carried the area or is at least now polling where he's popular and people think impeachment is wrong. So there was always some concern that she wouldn't have all the Democrats, but now there's talk about more and more Democrats starting to bail out on her. And I got to tell you, Nancy Pelosi runs the U.S. House, runs the Democrats in the U.S. House like a drill sergeant. She tells them how they will vote. They, the Democrat members, must get her permission to vote in any way other than how she tells them to vote. When you see people coming home and saying, well, I want to hear from my constituents, members of Congress, I want to hear what you think, I'm open, it's all hogwash. It's all a show. It's a charade. She may have to tell certain members when they come to her and say, I'm going to lose my seat if I vote for impeachment, so you need to let me out of this. She may say yes, but do not think for a moment these individual Democrats have any actual authority within their party to vote the way they want to vote. She's in control of it. But she's getting worried now. As I say, up to 34 and maybe more Democrats are saying, I don't want to vote for impeachment. Number 2, there's a concern among these same Democrats who are rumored to be getting very concerned that they don't want to vote impeachment because they're listening to their voters. But on the other side, in their other ear, and their other shoulder, is the devil whispering, which is in the form of Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez and the other, ladies who are just the squad, the radical leftists, the squad. They're socialists. They're just, horrible big government leftist thinkers. Those people are telling these same members of Congress, we're going to find someone to primary you in the states where the primary deadline has not passed. Here in Texas, it's done. The primary deadline's over. But in other states, people could still file. And so AOC, mainly spearheading, is going around looking for other people to challenge any Democrat who dares to not vote with impeachment. AOC, also wanted to have many, many more articles of impeachment. She's livid. They only came up with 2. So that's their problem. That's a kind of issue 1 and issue 2, I guess. But also, yesterday in the Senate, there was a hearing. I have a clip for the very wonderful, and yesterday I'm going to tell you, my very fine friends who are listening, I was mispronouncing. I have a substitute producer here today because Matt is out this week, and I was calling him Travis. His name is actually Trelvis. I'm going to say it correctly. Trelvis here, I believe, has a clip, which is Ted Cruz, which is the senator from the great state of Texas, great guy, and he actually was able to ask questions yesterday of the Inspector General, Michael Horowitz. So we talked about the IG report yesterday. Michael Horowitz put out his report where he found literally countless examples of the ways in which inside the FBI and the Department of Justice, as they were looking at some way to get President Trump, that they violated law, they violated procedure, they doctored documents, they changed documents to back their efforts. They literally engaged in an extraordinary effort to be sure to somehow be able to attack President Trump and bring about this impeachment hearing, this process. But Horowitz, concluded he didn't really see any evidence of bias. That is the hidden hand argument. I'm going to get to in a moment. But first, I want to play the very great Senator Ted Cruz with a stellar question to Michael Horowitz in the U.S. Senate yesterday.
So the men and women at home need to know what's happening. A lawyer at the FBI creates fraudulent evidence, alters an email. That is in turn used as the basis for a sworn statement to the court that the court relies on. Am I stating that accurately?
That's correct. That is what occurred.
Now you...
Okay, so you got to understand, guys, this is just a stellar moment. Ted Cruz, fabulous lawyer. I might play that again, but right now, not right now. He's a fabulous lawyer. He is a very incisive speaker. He's actually studied what the IG report says. It's really important to understand what he just got that guy to admit. So the guy says, yeah, a lawyer for the FBI. So this actually may be a crime, like maybe a felony, changing evidence to get your way, but points that out. And Horowitz says, yeah, that's what happened. Yeah. Okay. Another great line that came out of yesterday. I want to give credit to Senator Josh Hawley. Hawley, Hawley, Senator Hawley. I don't have the clip, but he also in the same hearing said in his turn to speak, the collusion that we're looking at here was between the DNC, the Democrat National Committee, and the FBI. He's really trying to connect, rightfully so, the Democrats and the FBI, pointing out what happened there was simply unbelievable. So that testimony was wonderful. Okay, there are two articles I want to urge you to read. If you go to my website, americacanwetalk.org, on the home page under shows, drop down list of links. Two articles I cannot urge you strongly enough to read. One is an article about William Barr. And I played a short clip from Attorney General Barr yesterday or a couple days ago, a short clip of one of his interviews. Attorney General Barr has been out there in Washington in interviews saying, essentially, this is outrageous. These aren't his words. These are my words. He spelled out in two different interviews an astonishing number of conclusions and observations about what was found in the Horowitz report and about what he's uncovering as well as U.S. Attorney Durham are finding as they are again continuing to investigate the predicate, the beginning, what caused this whole Trump-Russia collusion hoax to get kicked off inside the FBI and the DOJ and probably the CIA. Those entities are what he's looking at, and Barr, so the article I urge you to read is called William Barr Has Suddenly Become Chatty, and he's provided quite an information dump. So I will not read you all the conclusions, but these conclusions. There are 17 of them, I think. No, more than 17. They're conclusions. They're statements that Barr has said in the last two mega interviews where he's really, really calling into question the integrity of the FBI, Department of Justice, and therefore that kind of leads me to my hidden hand point I want to make, and this is the other article I cannot urge you strongly enough to read. It's called The Hidden Hand. Again, there's a link at my website, americacanwetalk.org. It's an article called The Hidden Hand. It's by Charles Sam Faddes, or Faddes. And he's just making a point that I really want to, it goes back to Horowitz and his inability to get to a conclusion. If you line up all of the things that Inspector General Horowitz found, that he laid out in his report. When the report first came out, you had many on the left saying, see, Horowitz said there was absolutely no wrongdoing. He sees no evidence of bias. He saw no evidence of bias that there was anything wrong with the initiation, the beginning of this whole Trump-Russia collusion. So the left was trying to say Horowitz has vindicated the entire FBI and DOJ. Now, he maybe finds some, nitpicking little wrongdoing. But the longer this report is out there, the more people read it, you begin to understand what Horowitz, Inspector General Horowitz, uncovered was not simply, poor punctuation. It was not simply, forgot a tiny little step in a procedural process. It was fundamental distortion and misleading of the FISA court, fundamental, profound level unfairness, and with respect to how President Trump was treated and how his whole campaign was treated. And this hidden hand article is by a guy who's actually formerly served. I don't know exactly where he served, but he talks about having as someone who has a great deal of experience in military and intelligence matters. He's making the point, in summary, there's no way all of these things happened, all of these missteps, all these things happened that we know are wrong. There had to have been someone orchestrating it at the top. There had to have been someone saying, this is what we're going to do. We're going to get President Trump. We're going to plant evidence. We're going to plant the story of Papadopoulos and his offhand conversation that ultimately led to a report made to the FBI in June of 2016 that allegedly caused the beginning of the whole investigation. He points out, and I honestly, if I had 3 hours, I might read you this 3-page article. I won't do that, but I urge you to read it. He's making the point, all of this did not happen without somebody at the inception orchestrating it, planning it, and then trying to launch it forth to happen through the various individuals who actually work for the FBI, through the attorneys, the investigators, everyone working for the FBI. And so he's pointing out, too, that some of the missteps we see that Inspector General Horowitz came up with, these are just because the people who got involved, they really didn't, they didn't know at some point, and maybe they never did, but they didn't know the invisible hand, the whole big plan that was always there. They took at face value what they were handed to do, so they went out and they marched on their way and they looked into things and they tried to come back a couple times saying, hey, this doesn't add up. None of this adds up. Carter Page is not a bad guy. He's one of us. George Papadopoulos is not a bad guy. They came back with these kind of things. And so the invisible hand up here, which I will say I think is, if there is to be one person, is John Brennan. I am speculating. It appears it was John Brennan. His whole conduct and aura since the moment this story became a big story of wild, irrational anger and accusation at President Trump. He's a person who had the ability to orchestrate it, and the means and the knowledge and the people and how you work the FBI to be duped into doing this. He would be the one, although he's not named in this article, he would be the one who could be the hidden hand orchestrating it all. So this guy makes some really brilliant points, including taking into account some of the missteps that happened along the way, because these people didn't really realize. They thought they were just doing their job. I'm not talking about Comey and the high-level people. I think Comey and Strzok and Page and McCabe, a lot of those people knew exactly what they were doing. But the lower-level field agents, the investigators, the lawyers, they're just doing the job they do, and they were coming back saying, hey, this is ridiculous. There's nothing here. Why are we doing this? But they end up with, end up being stuck. Having to continue because it was decided by the hidden hand that we are actually going to move forward.